All right, we are recording.
Okay, well, we'll call the October meeting to order, I guess, and start with the roll call. Linda Camp.
And this is Talby Roach with Bi-State.
Amy Fulbright with Bi-State.
Kevin Scott with Bi-State.
Patty Beck with Bi-State Development.
Tom Curran with Bi-State.
Pete Morrow, St. Louis County PD.
Ray Garlick, St. Louis County Transportation.
Anybody else? I thought I saw Adam was on at one time. Well, I guess. Since we don't have anybody here to discuss the old business with St. Louis County,
Mm-hmm.
unless, Adam, do you know anything?
So, Madam Chair, maybe what we could do is we could get moving and
Yeah,
we can go on the Bi-State side. I can ask Tammy to go very briefly on financials. And I appreciate your patience as I am standing in for Mr. Stewart. So I will do his ops report and I'll go very quickly, but maybe we could.
I was gonna say, and also, I know Patty's gonna do the report on the North Hamley transformation since Kim's not here.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So why don't, if acceptable to you, I'm gonna ask Tammy to go ahead on the financials. Tammy, would you?
Yes, so for the first 2 months, we are favorable. Our revenue is up 7.6%. Passenger revenue is up, so that's a good thing. This year it's moving in the right direction. Both the city and the county sales tax is up, and with Fed rate increases, we are also seeing increases in interest income. Our expenses are down about 10.8%, and that's primarily due to wages and benefits, and then also services. So that's my report for August for the financials, if there's any questions.
No, that looks like everything's moving in the right direction anyway, if we're we're ahead.
It is. It is. That's great. So let me get moving. So I'm going to go very quickly to system performance. So that's under the system performance tab. And actually we continue to regain ridership on both the bus and Metrolink side. However, of course, on Call-A-Ride, it's dipping down slightly. That's mostly having to do with our employment challenges. We are still under a very significant employment challenge, just like everybody else in the metropolitan area. And we're continuing to push as much as we can. We're still doing the $2,000 bonus. We're still having monthly recruiting events at our Compton facility, but although we're continuing to retain at good rates, we're still and hiring at pretty good rates, but we're continuing to see a little bit of bleed through retirements and from our competitors, quite frankly. So that means that there's some effect to ridership and more on the Call-A-Ride side. And you can see there's a whole narrative in section in page 2 of our performance summary, where we still see some missed trips. However, most of those end up getting rescheduled. And I would note there's a nice memo about that in your packet that has been written by Jeff Butler, who's the general manager of Call-A-Ride. Jeff and his team do a really good job, and although there are missed trips and denials of trips, a lot of times that's like, hey, we can't make it on this Tuesday, but if you reschedule and we do it on Thursday, we end up getting the trip done. but in our reporting requirements that it is part of what we do. Also, since it made sense, and actually Kim asked for this data. If you look at the bottom part, we put in here the performance on the Metro Via contract. And as you know, we have continued to complete and build ridership. And basically from November, where the VIA contract had 3,758 rides, to August to 12,339. And basically what we're seeing is that there's some building of that service and as a supplementary access for our regular transit service. So that's really as it should be designed. And that's really kind of a more than anything else, more efficient from a cost standpoint than paying the full rate on in service that is less frequent. So it makes a lot of sense for us to continue to move towards that model. I would say that our standardized fixed route ridership, we are doing better. And so although we peaked at about a 51% of pre-pandemic levels for the last quarter of FY22, it is true that we are actually favorable to other larger transit lines across the country. So we're recovering a little faster than some of those. And as a matter of fact, I have from August, we do get from our bond rating agencies, we get these really interesting reports. Actually, Tammy gave me this one. I really liked it. It's from S&P. But it gives you a good idea of what, some of our competitors are seeing. And just a quote from what they are seeing is that ridership remains depressed at approximately 61% of pre-pandemic levels during the week of August the 21st to August the 27th. And they show a chart like that. So in comparison, we are actually a little bit favorable to that number. We're doing a little bit better. But some properties are doing worse. The properties that are doing a little worse are properties that have more of a commuter type base. So I would use, for instance, Washington, D.C. WMATA actually is the worst in the country right now. That has to do with, in D.C. in particular, there's a much stronger movement towards work from home environment. So they have really had problems starting to recover. Also, although it's not as apt a comparison, MTA in New York has also seen the same kind of challenges, but for the same reason. It's a much, much bigger system, and it's harder to do a parallel. But in comparison, we're doing a little bit better than, let's say, a Chicago, and maybe a little bit more of our contemporary. We're kind of in line with cities like Dallas. So what we're seeing is a pretty consistent recovery. I think what we need to do is to talk about safety and security as we've continued, so that yes, we're going to recover some riders, but we need to be sure that we have new riders that we need to attract to the system. So in line with being sure that we're continuing the investments in safety and security and consistency of service, we're definitely pursuing those lines of attack. Now, one thing that I do want to say that we're going to move forward on is that we have been struggling with, those service levels associated with how many employees we have, and we've been missing some trips on the bus side associated with that. So in November, in the November service pick, we will be slightly reducing some frequency of some Missouri lines, mostly in conjunction with being sure that we are right-sized associated with what is the service that we can offer and is out there 100% of the time. In other words, if we say a bus or call a ride van is going to show up, that it shows up 99% of the time. So that means that we're doing some modest adjustments in some of those lines. We did this a little bit earlier in the season with, some movements from, let's say, a 30-minute headway to a 40-minute headway. Those kind of very modest adjustments. So no eliminations of routes, but more of some tunings of routes so that they made their connections better and that we were able to bring our hours slightly down. And of course, that means that's one of the reasons why we're also running very favorable to budget, is that we have been able to contain our cost and stay reasonable, which I think is very important as we move forward. So I threw a lot at you right there, and I want to be cognizant of, it looks like Ms. Carter and it looks like maybe James Cotter have joined us as well. And I'm going to pause Ms. Camp and be sure that you don't have any questions. I'm sorry, can you say again?
What the heck?
There you go. I just heard the heck. Oh, you're breaking up a little bit, Linda. I don't know if you can hear me, but it's a little spotty.
Toby, this is Deborah. How are you today?
Hello, Chairwoman Carter. I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Linda, do you need me to help you?
I think that's a yes.
Myself unmuted.
Okay. Let me just ask you, Toby, did I miss the presentation?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I just kind of went over our performance figures. I'm not sure how much you heard, but we are ready for Marcom if you want us to keep going or pause and answer some questions.
Okay. No, I was referring to the North Hanley.
Okay,
Did you do-
and Patty is going to handle that. So I am ready to pass on to Patty if it's at your pleasure.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I don't want to stop anything. And I'm sorry for being late.
That's quite all right. All right. Well, we're certainly excited about North Hanley. It is a neat project. And Patty Beck, I think we have you on the line to talk about that.
Yes, Kim wanted to remind everyone that the big grand opening ribbon cutting is scheduled for this Wednesday at the North Hanley Transit Center. This is now the fourth transit center that has underwent colorful, bright improvements as part of the Transit Stop Transformation Project, which is a partnership between CMT and AARP and Metro. And it's been very successful. We're looking forward to Wednesday. There is rain and possibly thunder showers in the forecast, so our backup is in the garage. So we'll be protected. It will go on no matter what. Hopefully we'll be outside to show all the beautiful new areas, but if not, we'll be in the garage to officially open up that. And Kim wanted to make sure that you all knew that you are invited. It does start at 9 a.m. at the North Hanley Transit Center. Now, if you'd like, I can transition straight into the Marcom report. Fortunately, our negative publicity sentiment is so much better than it was in the previous month. Those 6 days in July with the unprecedented flash flooding, really, as you saw last month, really turned us into the negative territory. But we are rebounding, as you can see. The share of sentiment has gone up significantly in the neutral and positive area. So we're very encouraged as we continue to recover from the flood, push out updates, and also push out new programs and great, exciting, positive things that are happening at Metro Transit. Did want to make a note, Toby had talked about the ridership with Metro Bus and Metro Link growing. The 5-day pass pilot program was successful. In an effort to attract ridership and improve revenue, we had turned our 750 day pass into a $5 pass, which was a bargain. We launched that pilot in June of 2021, and just last month, our board officially adopted that $5 price. Tolby, do you want to add anything about that? We more than doubled our revenue, which is very exciting.
Well, sure. I mean, really, the effort is just to try to be a little different and add some new excitement. One of the, and I really encourage everybody to, Kim actually happened to text me a couple of pictures of North Hanley, and I honestly, I wish I could share them with you because, of course, it's beautiful blue skies. But it was also when unfortunately our beloved Cardinals, but they were still in the playoffs at the time, and it was great because you had all those fans in red all on the platform for a day game. It was really kind of a neat idea just to add some new excitement. And I guess that's kind of part of the idea behind, these discounted passes, where we're just trying to say to folks, hey, we're going to try something a little different. Welcome you back. We're going to do things in a new way. And so far, it's really been well received.
Can you tell me, since college has started, can you tell if we picked up ridership from the college students, the campuses that we cover?
So we do get a typical bump. It's sometimes difficult to isolate that associated with. We will also see some oscillations associated with temperature. Okay, but school trips, as they are typically called, do increase our ridership both on the bus and on Metrolink side. We were a little concerned this year because we did get we got the task of the city of St. Louis had problems with their bus service with their high schools, and our bus system was able to kind of adjust on that. And actually, really credit to our operators who kind of leaned into that and considered those students to be essentially the city's children. And I think they really stepped up very nicely. And we were a little worried about overwhelming the system, both in the city and county with that, but it did not materialize. We actually saw kind of a positive effect. So there's a lot of ridership mixed in there, is my point. And it's a little difficult to isolate it per se.
Okay, thanks for answering my question. And Deborah, just for your reference, the county council,
Hello.
part of the program, we never had, nobody's here from the county.
Okay, thank you.
Did anyone else have any other questions about marketing communications? Kim did want me to tell you that the canopies are going up today at North Hanley. So we're putting the finishing touches on that great project today. Tomorrow morning at 8:30, she'll be doing an interview with KMOV. They're going to be doing a story. We don't know if it's airing tomorrow night in advance of the grand opening then on Wednesday morning, or if they're shooting it tomorrow to air it Wednesday morning. We will be at the North Hanley Transit Center at 7:30 Wednesday morning, handing out granola bars, thanking our customers, appreciating their business and for choosing transit. It's all part of a sweeter commute. And then that will lead us right up to 9 o'clock to the grand opening ceremony news conference. And Ted did want me to remind you all that the community stakeholder engagement talks with Tolby and Kevin Scott continue and will continue. That's for the secure platform plan. The presentations are going well. Tolby has a few more that he's handling personally, and Kevin has even more ahead of him, but we have accomplished a lot. As you can see on the last page of the Marcom report, we've done 19 total stakeholder presentations up to this point, and many others are scheduled in the future as we move forward with this great important project. And that's our report. Are there any other questions?
Oh, can I note to everybody, I'm pretty sure,
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
yes, I can.
Okay, just asking, what has the sentiment been from the stakeholders who have attended these meetings?
Oh, very positive. You know, it's with the system gates, with the secure platform project, very, very positively received. You know what? I also think it makes sense. I did get called in to a meeting to Chairwoman Days and Councilwoman Shalonda Webb that Chuck and I attended, and they were interested in how we're going on North Side, South Side. And they wanted us to get moving. And I said, I'm happy to do so. But we got to figure out where St. Louis County wants that line to go. So the good news is that alternatives analysis contract was just, I think, finally executed on Thursday of last week. So we're going to start talking about that alignment. That's good. And I also wanted to note that if anybody from the committee here wanted to attend the event at Hanley, I'm pretty sure that Councilwoman Rita Hayes has said that she will attend. So it's a really nice opportunity just to check in with someone who has supported transit and so on. And I think just bringing some notoriety to this commission to the chairwoman would be helpful to her.
I heard you. Okay.
Uh,
State Senator Brian
Thank
Williams will
you.
be in attendance as a speaker as well, in addition to Councilwoman Day.
Who will? I'm
right.
sorry. Who did you say, Patty?
State Senator Brian Williams will also be one of our speakers, featured speakers.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. So I think that brings us to the conclusion of our list. And maybe we should just pause and be sure that there's not any additional questions. Or I do think that Captain Morrow is on the line and he might do a report with Kevin about how we're doing on safety and security.
Okay. Toby, what happened with your presentation? I missed that.
With my presentation on ridership.
We're getting feedback from somebody. I mean,
Outside.
it's like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's me. I'm trying to correct.
Hey, Toby, this is good.
Elizabeth, are you there? Elizabeth?
Izzy was on earlier. James maybe got it fixed. Because I
Yeah,
don't get that feedback anymore.
What's going on?
Okay. I'm just trying to understand what I'm missing north side, south side corridor presentation.
Okay, you want me to give a full presentation on north side, south side?
Oh, I thought you had one to present. We talked about it last time and you said that you did have a video that you're trying to get straightened up for us.
Oh, I do. You know what? I apologize, Ms. Carter. I was concentrating on fulfilling my obligation to cover for Chuck, and I don't have that up right now. So,
That's
you know,
fine.
if
I'll
it,
put November.
can I defer it to November? I would very much appreciate that. I apologize. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, thank you. Where do we, what was said about Colorado? Did we get there yet?
We did, and so where we are with Colorado is, and that is in that we did a special section on the system performance, and we actually have been increasing the number of rides in the VIA complimentary service to cover some of Colorado. And although we do have some missed trips, we continue to compress those numbers. And most of what's happening in when there is a van unavailable, we are rescheduling that trip. So for instance, once our capacity is filled on a Wednesday, we might reschedule that to do a Thursday or Friday, but it does have to be marked as a missed trip. So that is where we are. We are still behind on employment, and that's really the problem with that. We are also investigating increasing our vans. So we are doing a new program where we're investigating essentially getting regular minivans and putting them in Colorado service for yes, they may be qualifying for ADA, but they would be ambulatory folks, and that would give us additional capacity so that we can reduce our missed trips. Because right now, it would be basically impossible to buy any ADA vans. There's a big shortage in the larger ADA vans. We're running quite a few with a lot of mileage. So we are looking at some new alternatives. And actually, this came up at the Missouri Public Transportation Association meeting, and FTA gave us some resources where they could allow us to maybe do a pilot program with minivans. We would do that in the county, working with, for instance, customers who would be able to get in and out of a minivan as opposed to, the big ADA vans that we have. And that would give us some relief on not only our employees, because they're a little easier to drive, but also on our fleet capacity. So that's one new area that I can speak on that should increase our capacity under paratransit operations. Plus, Jeff, in your packet, Jeff Butler wrote a more extensive memo about where that is right now, where our fundamental capacity is on those trips. We have seen a modest reduction in Colorado requests, about a 6% reduction year over year, and that's positive. We think that that's due to, for instance, our all the way with ADA program, where, for instance, if you are an ADA qualified individual, you can run our regular service, Metrolink and Metrobus, for free, and that helps us with the crunch on the Colorado side, that we encourage people to run our regular service. So I know I threw a lot at you, but I'm hoping to anticipate any questions.
Just one, just because I'm a little slow, but if your main issue with Colorado is driver shortages, how do the new vans give you additional capacity?
Because the smaller vans do not require a CDL.
Okay.
And they're easier to drive. Okay, quite just that simple.
I heard the EV, but okay, I didn't hear the CDL. Okay. That makes a difference. Okay, got it. Thank you. Kevin, you up next?
Sure, we can be. Are you ready for us?
I'm always ready for you, Kevin.
I think if you don't mind, I'll start with Captain Morrow, to defer to him to see if he has anything that he would like to discuss. And then I'd like to follow him and discuss 3 awards that we were nominated for here in the Public Safety Division by state, as well as touch on the MTI article that you referred to in the agenda that we passed on last time. I'd like to discuss a little bit of that as well. So if you don't mind, Captain Morrow, I'll yield the floor to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Well, as usual, I don't have a lot for the group, but I will tell you that we're looking forward to Wednesday morning to see the final product at North Hanley. As you all know, in the county, that's our busiest platform in a lot of ways. So I'm hoping that the a changed environment might help us a little bit on the law enforcement side. And like I said, we will be there tomorrow morning for, Wednesday morning for the events, and we look forward to it. Our overall numbers, I think, all along the line are pretty much on par as they've been all year. So I think that's a good thing. We have St. Louis County PD has continually communicated with Kevin and his crew, St. Louis City, and certainly St. Clair. We've had a lot of discussions with them about a variety of different things, not necessarily crime. So, all right, Kevin, that's all I've got.
Pete, can I just ask you a question?
Yep.
Along with the change of environment, are there any security programs that you're looking at for Hanley? Because it is one of your busiest stations with respect to crime.
You cut out just a little bit. What was that?
Are there any security changes that will help to supplement the change of environment? I mean, the change of environment is great, but is there anything special that you're planning to do with respect to security?
Well, we generally focus a lot of our resources on Hanley, just based on the amount of not just the train, but the bus traffic. There's a heavy concentration of people at various times during the day. Unfortunately, we have some problems on Hanley Road that continue to feed some of the issues that we have down on our bi-state property. But there is to answer your question, there is no change at the moment that I'm going to do. I think we actually we do put a lot of our resources up there, and I don't know that frankly I could do anymore. It's been working very well with us being supplemented by both TSS and Allied. We've developed a lot of relationships up there since I've been here about 7 months now, and it's working very well. So I think we've got the appropriate staffing. We'll just wait and see what, if anything, changes based on the environmental changes that CMTs and the others have put forward.
Okay, thank you. Can you just tell me what kind of problems you've been experiencing from Hanley Road?
Well, we'll call them quality of life issues. Okay. We've got some transient population not necessarily riding the train or the buses, and they're drinking alcohol, smoking. Maybe there are people choosing to supplement their income up there by selling narcotics, and those are the people we generally recognize quickly and confront them as fast as we can. You certainly can tell as soon as the buses come and go and the trains come and go, they're still there. So that's a clue. And so we go and have conversations with them, and one way or another, they end up moving on. But I'll just call them quality of life issues, Deborah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so you're talking about when you say Hanley Road, you're really referring to the station, not problems with Hanley Road.
Yeah, well, let me clarify. There's a gas station up at the top of the hill, and there's a lot of activity up there. Okay.
At the gas station?
Sorry?
At the gas station?
At the gas station. Okay. That's the city of Berkeley. Then there's an apartment complex just to the south of that by about 15 feet, and that's unincorporated St. Louis County. Okay. So there's a lot of movement back and forth between the apartment complex, the gas station, and the Hanley platform. So that's the reference I'm making.
Okay, so what is Berkeley's stance on this activity, or have they even been involved?
Berkeley is involved. That's where you try not to step on any toes, tell them how to do their job, etc. We communicate with them often. The things that we learn about the activities that are going on, on the parking lot inside the store. We pass everything along to Berkeley and we let them know, and what they do with it generally, I'm not aware.
Is that good?
Which part?
You're not aware of what they do.
Well, I mean, I think Berkeley's suffering from what a lot of municipal police departments in the area are suffering from, and that's staffing. Okay. So I don't know what I can't answer your question completely. I do see vehicles, marked police cars respond to the area. Okay. And they handle their business as they handle their business. I don't know what other types of law enforcement they choose to do based on what information we pass them.
So it's not really a true partnership. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, we have good communication, but I don't know, in terms of a partnership, there's only so much that they can do with the staffing that they have.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Hey, would you mind if I interject just for a moment relative to the rates of incident at Hanley? Deborah, can you still hear us? Can you hear me?
Ian, go ahead.
Okay. So when you take a look at for instance, the Q2 incident reports that we put out in totality, obviously those numbers come from the police task force. The first page is a summation page, but it's also broken down by jurisdiction. And when you go to the St. Louis County page, you'll see that North Hanley has the highest rates of incidents. But we go out of our way to articulate in the summary page that 70% of the total incidents are relative to proactive police engagement, which means we really didn't realize a call for service from a security standpoint, or we didn't realize a true victim. They discovered things based on their daily activities and their daily interactions with the population. So that number is relatively positive. And as the more proactive that your law enforcement teams become, the higher those incident numbers will go. And that's why we step out of the way and we try to explain that, because that's really what we want. And that really is a result of the environment that we face in that area. There are some challenges around the property, as Captain Morrow alluded to, and they're doing a very good job holding our property and engaging problematic behavior on the property. And that's why you see those numbers start to creep up. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Okay. So for instance, if an officer makes contact with someone and discovers something while they're engaging that individual, such as a firearm or narcotics, that is something that didn't play out. Law enforcement discovered that. So of those total the total number of incidents at North Hanley reflected on that spreadsheet, 70% of those, if not more, are relative to proactive engagement by the St. Louis County Police. And that's a positive thing. And then in totality, if you look at the fact that the ridership numbers were up Q2 over Q2 of last year, and you look at the fact that the rate of incidents in totality dropped from 11 to 100,000 boardings to 10, they're trending very well. So the law enforcement is very proactive in that area. And those numbers that are reflected on the report are a reflection of their proactive engagement, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So two other topics, I believe, if I remember the agenda correctly. I'd like to talk about the Outstanding Security Performance Awards. This is an international security award structure. It's actually based in the United Kingdom. It is a very prestigious process. It's somewhat like the Oscars are to acting. OSPAS is to security. And we were nominated, our public safety program was nominated in 3 different categories for the United States Regional Awards. First and foremost was Outstanding Security Collaborative. We were one of 5 programs nominated within that award category. The second was Outstanding Security Team. Again, 5 finalists in that category, and this refers to our allied security group that's here. And then thirdly, outstanding training program as it relates to our Narcan and our de-escalation efforts. So in each of those categories, we were listed as one of the 5 finalists in each category. In September, Auspice announced their United States awards in Atlanta. Vern Summers, who's the director of security, traveled to Atlanta, and we actually won the top award in 2 categories. So best security team in the United States and best security collaborative in the United States. And when I talk about security collaborative, the totality of our effective public safety structure is a partnership between multiple organizations that all marry into one seamless team, whether that's bi-state, allied, or the law enforcement agencies, or now really is inclusive of our Chestnut teams that are out there. So we're very proud of the staff, the teammates on all levels of our security layers that played into this. And I think this is very notable and shows the progression of the overall program. So again, top in the United States for security collaborative, top in the United States for security team. The security team, again, is specific to the allied contract team. And then we were the runner-up in the 3rd category, the runner-up for our Narcan and our de-escalation training. So again, congratulations to all of the men and women that work across the system from a safety and security perspective. Does anybody have any questions on that? All right. And then lastly, Deborah, you had placed on the agenda last month, and we had deferred to this month, an article written by the NTI, Transportation Institute based in San Jose, at San Jose State University, the Mineta Transportation Institute. And it talked about the trends that we face on public transit across the United States. And really, as you go through this article, it talks about the dynamic really has changed preparation from a security standpoint, from a terroristic reactive force to the dynamic of we now deal with individual, personal, significant or serious crimes across the United States, such as stabbings and shootings and arsons, unarmed physical assaults, and other acts of random violence. And it really urges security leadership in the U.S. properties to start to reevaluate their perspective on how they prepare and what their daily priorities are from a security standpoint. And I can very confidently tell you that we've already done this. The very basis of what we do on a daily basis is focused on those individual attacks on the system, meaning on individuals or on our property or crimes that are committed on our system. That is the pervasive focus of our overall security program. And I think this also complements the discussion that we just had about North Hanley. And one of the things that we always talk about is that crime and what we deal with on the transit system here in the St. Louis region really is a regional conversation, because obviously we are not immune to things in the environment that go on where we are positioned and where we do business. And so one of the quotes in the actual study was, the increase in violence on transportation venues appears to be a parallel to the increase in random public violence and reflects a broader societal trends occurring on the streets and elsewhere. And I think that's really what Captain Morrow was talking about when we talk about the challenges of the properties that surround our properties and then the environments in what we're positioned. So the very basic focus of their study with how advanced economies now are facing some of these challenges on their transit systems really has been our focus in the development of our overall security structure the entire time. It's complicated, but that's really is a good article, and we are hitting on all cylinders in focusing on what their recommendations are. And with that, I will acquiesce and yield the floor, Mrs. Carter, and be happy to answer any follow-up questions that you might have.
No, that's great to hear that we've already changed our stance and you know, we're on the right track. I just couldn't, I couldn't find the study. So I was just curious to know what they were referring to. So thank you.
That really is a comparison between two groups of economies, advanced economies and also developing economies. And their reference is, hey, the advanced economies now are starting to face on their transit systems a lot of the challenges that they see in developing countries, which is low-level type violent acts, and we are without question focused on that, and that is the primary focus of how we do security every day. We're not dismissive of the possibility of a large-scale attack or a terroristic threat, but it's much more probable. The probability is much lower than the daily occurrences of the crime that we see. So thank you for mentioning the article, and I hope this provides some clarity.
It did. Thank you. Linda, you can finish it up.
Well, I think Adam and Ray are both on, or they were earlier. Do they have any, either one of you have anything to report from the county?
No,
Uh,
we got nothing.
Ray, did you have anything?
no, I didn't have anything this month. Thank you, though.
Okay. Then I guess unless anybody else has questions, we're adjourned until November. Anybody else have any questions, Deborah or James?
No, it's just personal. How do I get my picture on the screen? I actually combed my hair today.
I thought you always called in on your phone.
No, I actually joined the meeting this time.
Oh,
But I don't know how to get my picture up there. Never mind. You all go home. I'll figure it out.
okay. Well, then we'll see everybody November 14th.
All right, thank you.
And maybe Deborah will know how to make her camera work by then.
Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Everybody
you
go
very
outside and
much.
enjoy the weather.
Thanks, Linda. Great job.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Izzy, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you help me? How do I get my picture up there? Well, like your picture isn't coming up. It's just got your name. But when I'm talking, my name doesn't even come up.
I will, can we set up a time this week to talk about that and I'll help you?
Okie dokie.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Bye.